Dear learners, I am Dr. Shweta Tripathi, Assistant Professor in Mechanical Engineering, School of Engineering and Technology, Indira Gandhi National Open University, New Delhi. I welcome you all in the MOOCs of Energy Resources and Conversion Processes. The module that we are going to discuss today is on combustion of fuel. The learning outcomes of this module is the knowledge of combustion of fuels, knowledge of favorable conditions for the combustion, knowledge of air-fuel ratio, and after going through this module you will be able to determine the stoichiometric ratio. You will be able to apply the knowledge gained in solving the numerical problems. As we have discussed in our previous module about the fuels and their characteristics, we know that the chemical energy of a fuel can be utilized efficiently provided we are able to transform the fuel from solid to liquid or gaseous state, or transform the fuel from liquid to gaseous state, or transform its chemical energy to some other form of energy. The process by which the chemical energy of a fuel is converted into heat is called combustion. The importance of combustion is tremendous because of its diverse applications in domestic sector like cooking and heating, in drying applications, in different kind of industrial furnaces, heating furnaces, blast furnaces, heat treatment furnaces, in kilns, in conversion of solid fuels, in internal combustion engines, in power supply, etc. The fuels, when burnt, release their stored chemical energy in the form of heat. One of the most important conditions for this is that the correct amount of oxygen per unit weight of the fuel should be burned, must be supplied to provide complete combustion. In addition to this, an adequate time must be allowed for complete mixing and burning, and the furnace temperature or the temperature should be as such as to support this combustion phenomenon. If we discuss about the chemical kinetics of this combustion, in chemical reaction, the hydrogen of the fuel and the oxygen of the air may contribute to form water. The carbon and the oxygen form carbon dioxide and sometimes carbon monoxide also. The oxidation process, when accompanied by the rapid liberation of heat, it is known as combustion. And to start combustion, the hydrocarbons and the oxygen must be brought to certain minimum ignition temperature. So, the fossil fuels like coal, oil and gases release their stored chemical energy during combustion. It may or may not be possible to release all the stored chemical energy into useful energy during combustion. The process of complete combustion with evolution of heat is known as stoichiometric combustion. In a complete combustion process of a fuel, all the carbon present in the fuel is burnt into carbon dioxide, and all the hydrogen is burnt into water, and all the sulfur is burnt into sulfur dioxide. Whenever unburnt carbon, hydrogen or carbon monoxide appears in the flue gas, the combustion process is not complete and hence not stoichiometric. Certain prerequisites are necessary for stoichiometric process. These prerequisites are availability of fuel in gaseous state, availability of oxygen, that is the surrounding air, we are not supplying oxygen directly, it is the surrounding air only, and the high temperature. Three things we need: availability of fuel in gaseous state, availability of oxygen, and high temperature. The fuel in gaseous state gets mixed with oxygen where combustion takes place and heat energy is released. In stoichiometric calculations, several physical laws are used, the important being the conservation of mass and energy. Let us understand the basics of combustion phenomena. As we discussed that it refers to the rapid oxidation of fuel accompanied by the production of heat or heat and light. Complete combustion of fuel is possible only in the presence of an adequate supply of oxygen. Oxygen is one of the most common elements on the earth, and it is in our air it is about 20.9%. Rapid fuel oxidation results in large amounts of heat. Solid or liquid fuels must be changed to gas before they will burn. Usually, heat is required to change liquids or solids into gases, and fuel gases will burn in their normal state if enough air is present there. The objective of good combustion is to release all the heat in the fuel, which is accomplished by controlling the 3 T's, we call it actually. What are these 3 T's? Temperature, turbulence and time. So we need temperature which is high enough to ignite and maintain ignition of the fuel. We need turbulence or intimate mixing of the fuel and oxygen, and the third thing that we need is 30, which is time. The time should be sufficient for the complete combustion. The common hydrocarbons that are available in fuels are methane, ethane, propane, pentane and butane, CH4, C2H6, C3H8 and C4H10. If we talk about the combustion, this carbon, hydrogen and sulfur in the fuel combine with the oxygen in the air to form, carbon will form carbon dioxide, hydrogen will form water vapor and sulfur will form sulfur dioxide, and they will release tremendous amount of heat energy. If we talk about these common combustion reactions, because in every fuel there will be carbon, hydrogen, there will be some amount of sulfur. So if we talk about the common combustion reactions, carbon and oxygen, reaction of carbon and oxygen, we will get carbon dioxide and the heat released will be 8084 kilocalorie per kg of carbon. If we talk about reaction of hydrogen and oxygen, we will get water plus 28,922 kilocalorie. If we talk about sulfur, we will get sulfur plus oxygen, we will get sulfur dioxide and 2224 kilocalorie per kg of sulfur. This amount of energy we will be getting. So in case the oxygen is not available in the right amount, what will happen? This carbon will be converted into carbon monoxide, and then the reaction will be carbon plus oxygen and we will get carbon monoxide, and the heat release will be 2430 kilocalorie per kg of carbon. The molecular weight of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen and sulfur and nitrogen, you know very well. Carbon it is 12, for hydrogen it is 2, for sulfur it is 32 and for nitrogen it is 28 and for oxygen it is 32. This molecular weights we will need to determine the stoichiometric ratio. The oxygen required for the complete combustion may be calculated as, suppose the carbon is reacting with oxygen and we are getting carbon dioxide. We have 1 mole of carbon and 1 mole of oxygen. we have to balance first the equation that we are getting for this combustion. So if we talk about carbon and oxygen, the carbon, 1 mole of carbon will react with 1 mole of oxygen and we will get 1 mole of carbon dioxide. We know the molecular weight of carbon and oxygen, so we can say that 12 kg of carbon plus 32 kg of oxygen will give 44 kg of carbon dioxide. In the terms of volume, 1 volume of carbon plus 1 volume of oxygen will give us 1 volume of carbon dioxide. Now we may observe that the number of moles after combustion may or may not equal to the number of moles before combustion. The number of kg weight on both sides of the equation will be same. 12 plus 32, 44. 12 kg of carbon requires 32 kg of oxygen to form 44 kg of carbon dioxide. This means that 1 kg of carbon requires 32 divided by 12 kg, that is 2.67 kg of oxygen for combustion. The necessary oxygen needed for the combustion is always obtained from air. In addition to oxygen, air contains many gases such as nitrogen, argon, helium, neon, krypton, xenon and carbon dioxide and some water vapor. We know that air mainly constitutes of oxygen and nitrogen plus other gases, but the main constituents are oxygen and nitrogen. The nitrogen, we call it as an inert gas. It does not take part in combustion reaction. The nitrogen will be observe some of the energy released during combustion and therefore is responsible for a lower combustion temperature. The main constituents of air, if we talk about the percentage composition by mass, then 23.2% of oxygen we are having and nitrogen 76.8%. If we talk about this constituent by volume, then we have 21% by volume oxygen and 79% by volume nitrogen. The stoichiometric amount of air required for burning of a fuel may be estimated by taking an example. Stoichiometric or theoretical combustion is the ideal combustion process where fuel is burnt completely. Let us discuss it with an example. Let us calculate the theoretical amount of air required for the combustion of propane, which is the main constituent of liquefied petroleum gas LPG that we are using in our home and is having 0.04% of oxygen. Let us discuss. So what will be the chemical reaction? The formula for the propane is C3H8, chemical formula C3H8, and it will react with oxygen. It will give carbon dioxide plus water for complete combustion. So first what we have to do? We have to balance the equation. So it will be C3H8 plus 5O2 and it will give 3 carbon dioxide plus 4 moles of water. So for 1 mole of propane we need 5 moles of oxygen and it will give us 3 mole of carbon dioxide and 4 moles of water. If we convert it into kg, what we will get? The weight of propane will be 44 kg and oxygen, because there are 5 moles of oxygen, so it will be 160 kg. Similarly, 3 moles of carbon dioxide, it will be 132 kg, and for 4 mole of water it will be 72 kg. So 44 kg of propane requires 160 kg of oxygen to form 72 kg of water and 132 kg of carbon dioxide. This means that 1 kg of propane requires 160 divided by 44 kg, that is 3.64 kg of oxygen for combustion. The oxygen already available in fuel is 0.04. So the addition oxygen that we will require will be 3.64 minus 0.04, because 0.04 is there in fuel itself. So we will need 3.6 kg of oxygen. And the air contains 23% of oxygen by weight. Therefore, the quantity of air that is required, because we are giving direct air, we are not giving oxygen alone. So it will be 3.64 divided by 0.23, which will come out to be 15.65 kg of air. So what will be the stoichiometric? It will be 15.65. In any process like combustion, that for 1 kg we need 15.65. In any process like combustion, the total mass entering into a process remains unchanged. There may be some rearrangement of atoms and molecules in the process. This is exactly what happens in the combustion process, where the atoms rearrange themselves to form new molecules and heat is released. However, no change in the weight occurs. Let us take an example of internal combustion engine, which is functioning at air-fuel ratio of 15:1 by weight. This means that for burning 1 kg of fuel, we need 15 kg of air. Now we can see that how much exhaust will be formed? 15 kg of air and 1 kg of fuel. So exhaust form will be 16 kg. Or what happened to the chemical energy of 1 kg of fuel? It is released as heat. So if we discuss this, then the carbon plus oxygen plus nitrogen will give carbon dioxide plus nitrogen. Nitrogen is 3.76. We have seen that 4.76 moles, that is 1 mole of oxygen, and 3.76 moles of nitrogen will be there in the air for theoretical combustion of 1 mole of carbon. We can see it from here. This is the theoretical or stoichiometric air required for perfect combustion based on perfect mixing of fuel and air. If we talk about hydrogen, what will happen? Hydrogen plus oxygen, it will give water. Now if we go for the balancing, what will happen? 2 mole of hydrogen plus 1 mole of oxygen will give us 2 moles of water. So if we talk in the basis of mass, what will be? 4 kg of water needs 32 kg of oxygen to give 36 kg of water. From here we could calculate that to burn 1 kg of hydrogen we need 8 kg of oxygen and we will get 9 kg of water. Hence for 1 kg of hydrogen there must be 8 kg of oxygen in air, and in air oxygen is 23.2% by mass. Hence mass of air required to completely burn 1 kg hydrogen is 8 divided by 0.232, and it will come around 34.5 kg. There are 8 kg oxygen which will be needed to burn 1 kg of hydrogen. The amount of nitrogen present is in 34.5 kg of air is 34.5 minus 8, which will be 26.5 kg. This nitrogen does not take any part in the combustion, and hence there is as much nitrogen after combustion as it was before the combustion. So nitrogen in combustion is equal to nitrogen out in combustion. Whatever nitrogen is coming in the combustion is going out also. Then comes the excess air. In the combustion process, any deficiency of air would cause the formation of smoke and carbon monoxide. The theoretical amount of air would require perfect mixing of fuel and air molecules. An excess of air is needed for complete combustion. The percentage of excess air is calculated by excess air is equal to actual air supplied minus theoretical amount of air divided by theoretical amount of air. If we want to convert it into percentage, we could multiply it by 100. Then comes the combustion efficiency. As we know that the combustion efficiency is the heat that is inside the fuel, or the energy that is available in the fuel, and the energy that is released from the fuel we are getting as output. And efficiency, we know that it is input upon output. So our input is energy available in the fuel, and output we are getting the energy after the combustion of the fuel. So combustion efficiency is the ratio of energy released from the fuel after the combustion to the energy available in the fuel before combustion. The combustion efficiency is optimized when the proper air fuel is supplied and mixed, or the combustion losses are minimized, and third is the incomplete combustion is avoided. Then comes the air-fuel ratio. The ratio of air to fuel is an important parameter for complete combustion and hence for the maximum combustion efficiency. The air-fuel ratio depends on the carbon-hydrogen ratio of the fuel. If we talk about the hydrocarbon with formula CnH2n, air-fuel ratio will be 0.0677. That means the hydrogen is twice as of carbon. If we talk about pure carbon, air-fuel ratio is 0.0867. If we talk about petroleum fuels, this air-fuel ratio is 0.0754. The air-fuel ratio in any mixture may be defined either on volume basis or on weight basis. The simplified expressions for theoretical air-fuel ratio is 59.5 cc of air divided by cc of fuel, or if we talk in the terms of mass, it will be 15.1 gram air divided by grams of fuel or mass of fuel. The complete combustion depends upon several factors as mentioned earlier. One of the important parameters is the excess air which needs to be supplied for complete combustion. This in turn leads to some loss of sensible heat needed to heat this excess air to the atmosphere or to the temperature of the flue gas. One of the energy conservation measures is to utilize the waste heat in preheating the excess air required in the combustion processes. Then comes the theoretical air requirement for the combustion of a fuel. We have discussed that in any fuel, carbon and hydrogen are the principal elements that contribute in combustion. If we assume that 1 kg of any fuel has a composition CnHmOn, where L, M and N are number of atoms of carbon, hydrogen and oxygen respectively, then the number of moles of oxygen for the stoichiometric combustion of the fuel is given by phi is equal to L plus m by 4 minus n by 2. The amount of air for the complete combustion of the fuel is given by the amount of air is equal to 128.5 into the number of moles of oxygen for the stoichiometric combustion that we had calculated as L plus m by 4 minus n by 2. Let us call it phi kg of air per kg mole of the fuel. So amount of air will be 128.5 into phi kg of air per kilomole of the fuel. Let us determine the theoretical amount of air required for the complete combustion of a fuel having the following composition: carbon is 58%, hydrogen is 5%, oxygen is 4.8%, sulfur is 0.2% and nitrogen is 2%. We can assume that moisture is about 10% and ash is about 20%. So the number of atoms for carbon that we had taken L is 58 by 12, that is 4.8. The M, that is number of atoms, that is for the hydrogen, M is 5 divided by 1, that is 5.0, and N for oxygen, it is 4.8 divided by 16 and it comes out to be 0.3. The number of oxygen moles from the equation that we had just discussed, what it will be? It will be L plus M by 4 minus M by 2. So 4.8 plus 5 by 4 minus 0.3 by 2, and we will get 5.9 kilomoles of oxygen per 100 kg of fuel, because it is all given in percentage. The theoretical air for the complete combustion of the fuel from the previous equation will be 128.5 into 5.9 divided by 100, because it is kilomoles. 5.9 divided by 100, it will come about 7.58 kg of air per kg of fuel. Now let us summarize whatever we have discussed in this module. We have discussed that the fuels, when burnt in a furnace, release their stored chemical energy in the form of heat. One of the most important conditions for this is that the correct amount of oxygen per unit weight of the fuel burnt must be supplied to provide complete combustion. We have also discussed that in a chemical reaction, the hydrogen of the fuel and oxygen of the air may contribute to form water. The carbon and the oxygen form carbon dioxide, and sometimes when the air is less and the combustion is not complete, it converts into carbon monoxide as well. We have also discussed that the oxidation process, when accompanied by the rapid liberation of heat, is known as combustion. And to start combustion, the hydrocarbons and the oxygen must be brought to certain minimum ignition temperature. The process of complete combustion with evolution of heat is known as stoichiometric combustion. Certain prerequisites are necessary for such a process. These are availability of fuel in gaseous state, availability of oxygen, that is surrounding air, and high temperature. The fuel in gaseous state gets mixed with oxygen, where combustion takes place and heat energy is released. In stoichiometric calculations, several physical laws are used. The important is the conservation of mass and energy. The number of moles after combustion may or may not be equal to the number of moles before combustion. The number of kg weight on both sides of the equation will be same, however. The necessary oxygen needed for the combustion is always obtained from air. In addition to oxygen, air contains many other gases such as nitrogen, argon, helium, neon, krypton, xenon, and carbon dioxide, and some water vapor as well. The oxygen and nitrogen make up the main constituent of the atmospheric air, and the nitrogen, being an inert gas, does not take part in combustion reaction. The nitrogen will absorb some of the energy released during combustion and will therefore is responsible for a lower combustion temperature. In any process like combustion, the total mass entering into a process remains unchanged. This is exactly what happens in the combustion process, where the atoms rearrange themselves to form new molecules and heat is released. However, no change in the weight occurs. In the combustion process, any deficiency of air would cause the formation of smoke and carbon monoxide. The theoretical amount of air would require perfect mixing of fuel and air molecules, for which we need turbulence of air. The combustion efficiency is optimized when we have proper fuel air is supplied and mixed, and when the combustion losses are minimized. In order to get the combustion efficiency higher, or in order to optimize combustion efficiency, we have to avoid incomplete combustion as well. The ratio of air to fuel is an important parameter for complete combustion and hence for the maximum combustion efficiency. The air-fuel ratio depends on the carbon to hydrogen ratio of the fuel, and the air-to-fuel ratio in any mixtures may be defined either on volume basis or weight basis. In any fuel, carbon and hydrogen are the principal elements that contribute in combustion. The amount of air for the complete combustion of the fuel is equal to 128 into 5 kg of air per kilomole of the fuel, where phi is given by L plus m by 2 minus n by 4, where L, m and n are the number of atoms of carbon, hydrogen and oxygen respectively present in that fuel. Thank you very much.